Hi guys, Asmo here, and today I have a quick update on basically what is day 2 for my Saboteur character. We started the league pretty well, managed to get an early Tremor Rod before they got super expensive because I got pretty high in terms of like the content that I was running very early on, and that allowed me to make more money, very early Chaos recipe, and I bought the Tremor Rod before it was absurdly expensive. So right now the character is level 87. We are running in the Tremor Rod Bolt Lightning, which is still level 19, and soon we're gonna level it to level 20. Then we have Inspiration, because it's hard to get rid of the red sockets, but also Inspiration is really good, and the reduced mana cost helps as well. Then we have Slower Projectiles, which of course helps. Even though it's nerfed, it's still a really good gem to get. And then we have Elemental Focus, as well as Lightning Penetration. So those are very strong in terms of damage. That basically maximizes my damage right now, especially for single target. There are some other options that you can run. For example, if you put High Impact Mine into your Tremor Rod, you will use Blast Chain Mine and High Impact Mine, and the cool thing about it is that it has mana multiplier of 30%. So you can see right now mana reserved 17, but if I switch that, for example, mana reserved 4, right? So you can just spam so much of it and run extra aura as well at the same time. So that's something you can consider doing as well. Added lightning could be fine. And charged mines and minefields are also fine if you need the extra throwing speed, or minefield. I personally really don't like that, so I don't run minefield, but I'm still leveling that for now, just in case I want to switch for some reason. In terms of the gear, the interesting thing is that I switched to CI. This is something that I have been planning to do once I was like playing with the POB and noticed that all of the cool nodes that I want to pick up that are not nerfed and potentially even buffed in terms of crit, and all of the crit nodes are right next to ES, and it's very hard to get to like the big life nodes or extra life here and so on. So I figured that I will actually save some points and have more health and more damage doing it that way. And it's actually true. Even if I would have to have like Calm's Heart and really big life on my gear in order to match this effective HP. However, I would lose a lot of damage because I would have to spend more points on traveling and picking up life, and I would have less points for the nice crit nodes that you can see here. So as you can see, this is the passive tree. You will find Path of Building and the description for this stage of the build. We are picking up very standard things like crit, some mine nodes, and then we're going here to pick up there's a bunch of ES together with the mine throwing speed. Then we have the crit multi. We have again extra mine throwing speed. Then we got the CI, of course, some extra crit. If I had more points, the critical strike multiplier is more damage than this, but you have to invest an extra point, right? So later on you want to switch to the crit multi. Then we have some extra crit. Same with this, probably should switch to crit multi at this point. With the Blast Cascade. Then we've got some extra ES and all of these juicy mine nodes. And on the other side, we are pathing through the crit multi, and then we're getting all of this nice ES and some mana and mana regen that helps us as well. Then we've got the Annihilation for extra crit, and then if I had more points, again at higher level, you can path through here, pick up this socket jewel, and go pick up this lightning damage, for example, if you want, and you will end up using, here we have 1, 2, 3 travel nodes, and here we have 1, 2, 3 travel nodes, right? Because you pick one to get the jewel socket anyway. So it's the same number of nodes, but you can like skip these energy shield points if you have better gear, and then just pick up more damage here. In this side, you have the staff crit multi. Like, these are very nice nodes. 10 crit multi, 20 crit chance while wielding a staff. This is very, very strong because this is a global crit chance, so it applies to your spells, to everything while you're wielding stuff. And then you also next to that have AoE, which I'll talk about in a moment. This crit, Zealot's Oath, because we have massive regen from Saboteur's where is it, Pyromaniac, right? Regenerate basically 1% of life per second for each mine detonated recently, so up to 10% per second ES being regenerated because of Zealot's Oath, which is another reason to go CI. Some more ES with resistances, and of course Holy Dominion, which is an insane node, and also some extra spell crit and spell damage. So that's basically the passive skill tree. I got one jewel here, and there are a bunch of jewels that I want to pick up, right? Here we have a jewel socket, here we have a jewel socket, that's easy. We can pick up extra jewel socket here. Potentially we can like pick up something like here, the large jewel socket, if we want to go for like the cluster jewels. And the thing that we anoint is adjacent animosity, which is located here on the very bottom, and this gives you reduced projectile speed, which kinda counteracts the ball lightning nerf to like the slower projectiles. So on top of this, we're also getting this 10% reduced projectile speed, and then increased projectile damage plus kind of like point blank, but slightly smaller, right? 20% increased damage with hits to target at the start and at the start of the movement. So if you put the mines close to the target, they will have some extra damage as well. So this is a pretty good anoint, and it costs only opalescent red and violet or purple or indigo, whatever it's called. So that's what we're doing with that. And these are the nodes that we're getting: Bomb Specialist, Pyromaniac, Born in Shadows, and Explosives Expert. And then the cool thing with Explosive Expert is that it gives you bonuses when you have your enemies burning, shocked, and ignited, and all of that is taken care of by our Skitterbots. So Skitterbots normally shock and chill, and also we make them burning through Infernal Legion. So Skitterbots take care of all three ailments, and like when you're running maps, they will affect many mobs, not all of the mobs, but you don't need them to affect all of the mobs. They will affect the single target you're hitting, like the boss you're hitting, they will affect for sure all the time. So that's the most important thing they do. So those are the passives we're using. In terms of the gear, of course, Tremor Rod, Malachi's Artifice for extra minus 50, right? Minus 50 to resistances. Make sure that you don't have added damage. Let me see. Yes, only fire damage. You can see Armageddon Brand deals only fire damage, which means it has elemental equilibrium, so it will reduce the cold and lightning resistances by 50%, which means that's basically 50% reduced elemental resistances of the enemies. Then I also have Wave of Conviction, which is another 25, and it has Curse on Hit Conductivity, which is another 43. Against the bosses, this is more like 15 or something like that, you know. So this is a lot of reduced resistances for the bosses that we're fighting, which helps to boost our single damage to an insane amount. And on top of that, I also have Val Righteous Fire, but I'm running out of the keys to press to use them, because I want to run my Val Discipline. I'm running Discipline, actually. I'm managing to fit it perfectly well. While running maps, I'm just no problem. I'm just able to spam everything and not have any mana issues. So for bosses, you could maybe turn off the Discipline, because like you should be fine without it anyway. But I'm running with it in the maps and killing bosses with it probably as well, unless you like want to do like a big massive stack of mines, then you don't need that extra mana. And we're not using Mind Over Matter, so we don't care about that. Rest of the gear, I crafted some of the gear and I bought other parts of the gear. So I crafted this chest randomly, just was basically alt spamming, like I think, no, what was I doing? This was, I think, just from an essence or something. I think I used an essence here. I tried to craft ES gear for a while, and eventually I managed to like hit an essence, I think, that gave me like the cold res or something, and then hit very good rolls on that and just crafted ES, quality it up, and it's 500 ES shield. We don't need to link it more than 4 links, so it's perfectly fine. I bought this helmet, which was pretty cheap because it didn't have the crafted ES, so it looked, and didn't have the quality, so it looked like it has low ES, but it actually has pretty high ES for me right now. Just a ring with some crit, ES regen, and fire res and increased lightning damage. And then we have an amulet which helps me get the stats, because I need a bunch of dex and strength that I need for like the inspiration and slower proj. So in order to get the required amount of stats, I got this amulet, which later on I will also use catalysts on that to increase the stats from that as well. For the belt, we just got a crystal belt with resistances, that's all, and some extra strength. And here, just again, ES resistances and some dex, because I need that as well. And for boots, I needed only like ES and 30% movement speed, so I also got like 20% chance to avoid being stunned. I picked them up for 1 chaos, so this is very, very easy to get. In terms of the flasks, we are running the enduring eternal mana flask of heat, so that I don't get frozen, and it's always available because it has so many charges. Then we have bleeding removal on a jade flask, then we have curse removal on a diamond flask. This one I need to roll adrenaline, but that's basically it. And then we have increased duration movement speed. All of these flasks, as you can see, have increased duration. I really like rolling my flasks with increased duration, because having a flask that lasts like 6.5 seconds is very, very nice. Like, it's much more comfortable to use them that way. It's also better for bosses, because recovery and reduced charge used are not as good, because like you want the duration, you want the flask to last as long as possible. Also makes you have to press them less often. So that's basically the gear. In terms of the progression, I got a watchstone to get from here. I got all of the watchstones from this region, 1 from each corner, so I got 8 watchstones. This is gonna be my 9th watchstone, I think, and I'm getting to like tier 8, tier 9 maps right now. So we're doing tier 9s, and we're gonna slowly progress into the red map soon, and then acquire the rest of the watchstones. So that's the update for this character. It's very simple, very easy to play. It destroys everything. It has insane damage. It has decent enough survivability. It's not a hardcore viable character in terms of the survivability, but for softcore, it's tanky enough for me, and I can just kill everything. And the Conquerors are getting one shot every single time. It's actually absurd. So that's it for the update. I wanted to also thank my Patreon supporters and everybody who's supporting the channel, everybody hanging out in the community Discord. All of the links are in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.